Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Tuesday night here in my corner of the world. Chilly January night. Thank you all very much for stopping by. It's another photography art stream where I'm going to be editing the images from my most recent shoot with my good friend McKenna. And speaking of McKenna, the model herself is present for tonight's stream. Hi there!
Hello!
I think this is your first time being on the audio.
Yes it is.
Oh, welcome.
I only just thought to ask.
Oh, and good evening, Wing41. I was surprised you didn't have a stream last night. Well, you didn't. You obviously missed my post about it. No, I didn't have a stream last night because this is actually the very first stream from my brand new PC that I just finished building. So I had to take the time to set up the new computer and move a bunch of files around. So yeah. So this is this new PC's stream virginity. So, but yes, we're doing an art stream. We're doing another shoot with McKenna. Another costume shoot. So I'm glad, McKenna, that you're joining me to get to talk about your costumes, how you design them, how your process works, and whatever else comes to mind over the next 2 hours.
You know, it's going to be a fun time.
It is going to be a fun time, and somebody has already redeemed some shenanigans. My friend Live Deaths has redeemed the voice modulator channel point reward. So I don't know if you're familiar with this, McKenna, but my microphone that I'm using comes with a bunch of voice modulator settings that I can change so that my voice sounds like a chipmunk on helium, an auto-tune robot, dark, evil, sinister being, and somebody just redeemed that. So,
okay.
So for the next 5 minutes, you're gonna hear me in a different voice. Because I have that as a channel point reward. Yes, we can. We can always count on Live Deaths for shenanigans. Yes, Winged, it was very... you guys had a blast at my expense for when I was doing the charity stream playing Super Mario 3, because nothing is more hilarious than me cursing at an NES game while sounding like Alvin and the Chipmunks. So...
Curse those updates. How dare they?
Yeah, there we are. There we are, Winged. What happened was my mic software actually did an update right just now.
While you're using it.
While I'm using it.
Because that's user-friendly.
Okay, there we are. Also, McKenna, this is Danny. TXT94 is Danny.
Oh, okay. I see that.
Okay. Try this again.
Hi, Daddy. I So, fun fact, I know way too many Danielles and Dannys, so I have two very close friends who go by Danny, and since this isn't Wells Danny, close to Wells Danny's handle, I'm guessing it's Texas Danny. So, hi! This is Brian, he's my photographer friend. Hope y'all get along.
Now with chipmunk voice.
Oh no.
So for the next 5 minutes, this is what was redeemed, so silliness is going to happen. So, a little context about this particular shoot. So we did this around, almost a week and a half ago, and this was not the typical costume that you've done, that you've shot with me. This is usually you've done cosplay. This is something a little different for you.
Yeah, so normally I do either cosplay or costumes for LARP characters, and this one was just for fun. I watched a lot of historical sewing YouTube during these COVID times, and I felt inspired to try something a little outside my comfort zone, because a lot of the patterns for costumes from like past eras, unless you get like a Simplicity or a McCall's or like a pre-made pattern, they don't have sizing built into them, so you have to resize them after you either draft them or print them out and cut them out. Which is what I do, because I don't have a big space to be able to draft patterns on, like, big paper. So it's a lot of trial and error, and it's forcing me to do things that I have not done before, which is always fun. I'm learning a lot. So the corset for this one and the combinations, or what the frilly one piece is called, were patterns that I downloaded from sellers on Etsy. The combinations are from a store called Blue Fine Goods, and those actually are do have sizing, because the person who made them did size the pattern for different bodies after she drafted it herself. So that one I was lucky to find. The corset pattern is from a book that you can buy on Amazon by, I think, Margaret McNeely is the author. And it's just 9 corset patterns and a little bit of construction guides for them, but for the most part you just have to make do. The patterns themselves are in the book for drafting, but she also did have them for sale on Etsy as printable patterns, which you can print full size and then edit from there, which is what I went with.
So I'm starting with this first one here. So this was starting with your basic layer here.
Yeah. So the combinations are made out of a white linen. Linen is really good for undergarments because, unlike cotton, it doesn't absorb body odor. And it's really good at absorbing moisture and not getting smelly. Not that I expect to be wearing this out in the hot sun, but that is a bonus to it. The lace is polyester, as is the ribbon. I tried to find nice cotton lace for it, but I couldn't get enough in the amounts that I needed for a good price. Lace is expensive. This makes me very sad, because I'm going to need a lot more of it for other projects in this same vein.
Yeah, I can see that, and yes, that is definitely an advantage of linen. 2 of my Ren Fair shirts, actually the ones that I use the most, are made of linen, and they have the advantage of being a wicking sort of fabric, especially in the hot August sun, when I go down to Ren Fair.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's one of my favorite fabrics to work with. Between that, you can wash it. It's really easily launderable. It's not something that you have to worry about, like, dry cleaning or anything like that. And I really like the texture. Like, if you want something that looks like a piece you would wear rather than a costume, like, linen is really good for that. And yeah. I actually, the first time I used it was for a costume that I have worn at Ren Fairs in the past, but it was a knight from a book series that I'm rather fond of. I made her outfit and used linen for the base shirt, and I still have it. It's somewhere in my costume bins.
Yeah, that's definitely that is definitely a thing. Like you and I have done already a lot of shoots these last years. Like, you make up most of my cosplay section on my website. Like, just the various faces of McKenna here. We just, we've got, doing your best Goya impersonation there. We've got tasty vampire outfit. That's the high-end juice box.
Well, I figure if I have access to someone who actually knows photography, I might as well take advantage of that.
I mean, and I thank you very much. Thank you very much for doing so.
Because there's only so much I can do with the camera I have. And yes, I have a better phone camera now, but I also, don't want to bother with timers or lighting or anything like that. That is also, I am too lazy to learn.
There's something to be said for just paying for laziness. And so thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't know if you've said this already tonight, but what historical period were you trying to go for?
Oh, I did not say thank you. So this is Edwardian. The combinations started in the that style sort of came in the late 1890s into the early 1910s. They could technically be late Victorian too, depending on how nitpicky you want to get with your history eras. But the corset, I believe, is from 1905. Is when that pattern's year. I decided to pick Edwardian because I've done corsets in like a vaguely Victorian style before with the classic, hourglass silhouette. And the Edwardian silhouette is so much different, with the whole pigeon-breasted look, and it's less about the thin waist and more about that like horizontal curve silhouette. It's interesting, and I thought it would be fun to give it a go.
I am definitely looking forward to the rest of this, because I know we did just the first couple of layers basically.
And the petticoat will happen next, I think, because that is also going to be incorporated into the outfit that I'm working on right now, which I'm starting now because it's going to take the longest, and I want to get done with it before I do the easy things. So if I do the easy things, then I'm not going to have the motivation to do the hard things.
I mean, that's fair.
Where did that pen go?
So now we've got, we had the front, and now the back, which we're continuing that green ribbon and that bit of detail. And then we get to your corset. Right.
Oh, sorry, Danny, I just saw your comments. And yes, if you want to have me make stuff for you for your Renaissance game, I believe we've already spoken about it a little bit. I'm happy to do so. Once I get my steampunk LARP costume out of the way. Alright, so, fun fact. I was really kind of beating myself up about the back of this corset, because I don't know where I messed up my seam allowances, or my cutting, or my stitching, but you can see that the right side is slightly longer than the left side. And I'm just like, dang, like, that looks really unprofessional, it looks shoddy, like, that is not something that I would, like, if I would never try to, like, I'm fine with it for myself, but this is not something that I would, like, ever, like, sell. Like, if someone sent me this corset after I ordered it for them, I'd be like, oh, dang, like, why is one side longer than the other? And, then I started working on my current project, which is a 1870s corset pattern that I purchased from someone on Etsy, Atelier Sylph, who takes antique corsets and makes patterns out of them.
Oh.
And when you purchase the pattern, she also sends you a crap ton of high-res images of the existing corset. And let me just pull up some... I'm not going to share the full images because obviously I paid for these and I'm not going to distribute the full photos.
No. Yeah, yeah, no.
But I do have some very, very cropped detail images that I will pop into text chat on Discord, Brian, if you just want to if you can pop one of those on to...
Yep.
Right. Let's go to this.
Yep, you can pop it right into the streaming text chat. That works.
Okay. Streaming text chat. Where did it go?
It would be 2 above. There it is. Okay. All right, let me just drag. There we are. It's on the screen now. Bones are not the same length.
Yes, so this is an extant corset that was manufactured and sold by the Royal Worcester Corset Company based out of Worcester, Massachusetts, and the bones are not the same length.
So what you're saying is don't beat yourself up over a slightly uneven...
Yes, because the professionals got away with that shit back in the day. And it's the same on the bottom, too. Like, the one that's shorter on the top here is also shorter by the same amount on the bottom, and you can, like, see the crease where the fabric is bunching up around, or folding up over that uneven edge. So I'm just like, you know what? That does my soul good. I am glad that I learned at least that from this particular patterning adventure.
Like, I'm looking at this image here, and I'm seeing that, you know, the right side is slightly longer by the left, but because I'm not you, and I'm not versed in costume making, I look at that and I'm like, all right, just adjust one side. It just, like...
No, there's actually stitching above each... You stitch around the ends of the bones to keep them from sliding around.
No, I know that. I mean, just like it just looks like to me like you just haven't fully adjusted the corset like on you yet. It's just like just lift up one side, just
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And as I said to you during the shoot, like I've never seen the center lacing like. Because normally, if I'm lacing up somebody for Ren Fair, I go right all the way up to the top. You know, I tighten it all the way up and tie the knot at the top. You do it in the center, which I've never seen.
Yeah, it's a really popular form of lacing for just corsetry in general. I don't know how, like, when it started, I actually don't know the history of, like, how these things have been, like, laced. I know the general time frame when things started going from spiral lacing to crisscross, and that happens around the transition from the 17 into the 1800s. But I don't know, like, what the history is of the, where you start your, where you tie the knot, basically. There's actually a really cool style, though. It's called fan lacing, and I want to try it at some point, but you need specialized, like, hardware for it. And basically what happens is you string your laces to these two metal handles that have grommets on either side of them. And so rather than the two sides of the corset lacing together, the two back edges, they lace into those handles, and then you pull the handles and secure the handles in the front. And so it's called fan lacing because the laces, the handles are only like a couple inches long, so the lacing fans out over the side and goes into the back. It's very pretty. It's complicated, but it's very pretty.
It sounds like it's an adventure, but but the payoff sounds really good.
Yeah, and I need to find if anyone does, like, I need to find if anyone, like, sells those fan lacing handles, because that's the kicker is, well, if I can't find the hardware, then there's going to be no point.
Right. So, if you've been watching me doing some editing on here, you probably noticed that I haven't been doing a whole lot, and that's because I hate post-production. Well, no, that hate is way too strong of a word. It is the part of the process that I like the least. So because I learned how to shoot on a film camera in high school, because of that film mindset, on a roll of film you only have so many exposures on that roll, so you have to make them all count. So the more of your exposure settings that you get right in the camera, the less work you have to do on the back end to make a good finished image. So whenever I do a shoot, I have that mindset. I still keep that mindset. Like, the more I get right in the camera, the less time I spend in Photoshop fixing up the images. And because McKenna's actually paid me for these, the more I get right in the camera, the less time I spend in Photoshop, which means the quicker I can give her finished images. Mm-hmm. So I've always done it that way. And I know a lot of other artists, a lot of other photographers, they love this part of the process. It's a shoot first, spend hours editing later. I'm the exact opposite. The more I can get right in that's why I was doing things like I was using the light meter on the black and white. That's why I do light tests, and just to make sure everything's right, because I do not want to faff about for hours and hours and hours in Photoshop. That's just me. So that is my creative process as far as after the shot.
I can't judge. My sewing process is, unfortunately, I don't want to say it's similar, but has a similar mindset where I'm like, if, the less work I do on my first couple go-rounds, the less work I have to do later. So, like, I will spend hours, like, just doing my, maybe not hours, but, like, a good amount of time doing my pattern alterations. And then I'm like, I'm sick of this. I want to do a mock-up, let's just sew the dang thing. And that is not good practice. And I'm not doing it right now with my current project. I actually do have, like, I'm working on mock-up number 4, or 3.5, I guess, because I only did a mock-up of half of each, or one side of the corset, rather than the full thing for the first 2, but it's just like,
ladies and gentlemen, this is mock-up number 5.
I hope I don't get to mock-up number 5. I probably will, but, like, sorry.
So here's one from later on in the shoot when you've got those shoes that you were raving about.
Yes, yes, I love them. They're great. They're from American Duchess. They do reproduction. shoes from the 17, 18, and early 1900s. And actually, I do think they have like a sister brand that does like shoes from like this, the 30s through the 70s and I believe. But they're real leather. They look awesome, and they're just so comfortable. Like, I didn't expect them to be as comfortable as they are. And...
Which is great, because, like, I see those, and I can already feel the back of my heels going... But, if they work for you, they work for you, so...
Yeah. I was surprised at how comfortable they are. Actually, I have worn this style shoe before. I had a pair of just cheapo faux leather shoes that fell apart on me. They were actually the ones that I wore when we were shooting the purple magician outfit over at Union College. Yeah. So I'm used to that type of heel. And which surprised me because I generally don't do well in heels, but you know what? I will not question it.
Yeah, take what you can get, basically.
Mm-hmm. I like how this particular pose came out. It's fun.
It's fun. There's a little element of childish tee-hee in there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see if we can lighten up the hair a bit. Let's see. There we go. Bit much, but on the right track.
Maybe someday you'll get that other light that you want, so you won't have to lighten the hair as much.
No, and that third light is going to be probably a pretty soon purchase. I can afford it now, so
Mm-hmm.
thanks to your generous contributions. And also the contributions of my patrons. I have a very small but very loyal following on Patreon who do throw money at me every month because they do enjoy what I do. So for the patrons out there, also thank you as well. And if you want to contribute and become a patron on my Patreon, the link is currently in the chat, but you can always pull it up at any time. You can type in !art. And it will take you to my card page, which is the link aggregate. So it's got all the links for Patreon, Instagram, my website, Vero, Redbubble. It's got all of that fun stuff. And if you happen to become a subscriber, a patron on my Patreon at $5 a month or higher, you get from me every 2 months a 4x6 print. So hopefully that is some incentive for you.
Mm-hmm. Also, you can buy stuff on his Redbubble page. You can buy my face on a clock on his Redbubble page.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Which is like, I saw that and I was like, that's my face on a clock. Not the merchandise I would have thought of, but you know what? Sure, let's go with it.
Oh yeah, that's there's some stuff that you can put on tote bags. I forget which image of yours I have, and I check my Redbubble to find out. But
it's the I think it's the blue tone one of us in the graveyard when I'm like crouching on like a log or something.
Oh yes, well it's death time.
Yeah, it is.
It's death time, yes, and yes. Text94 says it's a very cute pose.
Thank you.
This is getting pretty close to. Get those gradients in a little bit more.
So what would you say is your like favorite? Because I've seen a lot of like things that you do editing wise, in your streams. But what is your like a favorite effect or thing to play with when you do edit photos?
Two things. One would be the addition of adding gradients, like something you learn as you're progressing, as you practice and get better at your craft, is how to position your subject. Because it's a very, very beginner thing and very, very classical thing to have your subject dead center. So you learn as you go along to move your subject left or right, play around with framing. But I also find that the adding of gradients adds extra dimension to your image, for me personally. And also, I really like to fiddle with the black and white settings. So like, for example, let me just save this image as we are. Because I was trained in black and white, so black and white will always be my first love. So it's like, if we go to black and white here, and just really start playing around with brightness and contrasts here. Like, you can see on the screen, like, this is what it looks like that's default black and white. That's your average gray. It looks pretty good by itself. But I really enjoy strong blacks, a full range of tonal scale here, and like some of my favorite Renaissance painters, Caravaggio, and they really, I think Caravaggio is one of them, employs a technique called chiaroscuro.
I'm familiar with the term from my film studies days.
So you get to play around even more. This would be like the equivalent of being in the dark room and using either stronger contrast filters or image wide dodging and burning to get these effects, which would take me many hours, and I'd waste so much paper doing it.
Oh man, that's something I never even thought of, is how did people do these edit? Like, I know some photo doctoring techniques from pre-digital times, but that involved doing things to the photo after it had already been developed and whatnot. So how people make these adjustments, for physical prints is I know it's possible, but I don't actually know how it's done, and I should look that up. It sounds interesting.
Lots and lots of trial and error. And it's actually something I really miss, not because I'm not in college anymore. I don't miss being in college for the coursework. I miss the studio access. I miss the unlimited lab hours where I could go into the dark room at 10 o'clock at night and just be alone and either develop film or make prints. And because while I can develop film at home, and if you watched me last week, that's exactly what I did. I developed some film. Can't do photographic prints in an apartment without an actual physical darkroom.
Mm-hmm. So do you normally send your film off somewhere to be developed?
I almost never shoot color film. So okay. If I shoot film, it's almost exclusively black and white, because I can do it myself.
Oh, okay.
Also, the only lab around here that does color developing that isn't mail order is McGreevy's Pro Lab in downtown Albany. And because they're the only photo lab in town, they know it, and you will pay a bit of a premium for that privilege.
And I imagine if it's the only place that's doing it locally, it might be like, is there like a backlog or something?
Yeah, like they only develop 1 day a week, so it's a week turnaround.
Oh, come on. Sorry, I am semi-working on my my current costume, and I'm trying to seam rip a portion out of my third mock-up to put onto the fourth, and I just ripped it, and I didn't want to rip it. I just wanted to rip out the seam, not the fabric.
So these couple of images here, toward the end of the shoot there, where we were getting a little fancy with the chair and the ribbon here, are probably my favorite for the set.
Yeah, no, this one is my favorite image that we took.
Hello, Steph. Welcome. No, you're fine. You're fine. Don't need to worry about being late. I'll be on until around 9:30. Just editing some images here, and we have the model herself. McKenna is here, who is describing the outfit and how she made it and other costuming fun. So those images I will edit later. I'm actually going to jump to the film that I developed last week. So this is where we started to get a little silly. We broke out the top hat. So if you saw me last week, I developed a roll of film, and it was a mixed roll. It was mostly McKenna. It was 75% McKenna, 25% dead things. It was the last of the images that I shot when I visited a cemetery on Long Island on Halloween. It is one of the oldest cemeteries in New York State. It's a Puritan cemetery. So now we get to play with editing black and white. So,
have you ever been to the cemetery in Concord, Mass?
Which one?
The one where all the authors are buried.
Probably not. I've been to some cemeteries in Billerica and Bedford and the surrounding, but not Concord, not yet.
It's really cool. Like, it's like just like this one tiny little hill, and you're standing on top of like Nathaniel Hawthorne and my English major friends would hate me, but whoever the heck wrote Walden Pond.
Thoreau? Whitman?
Maybe? I don't know. Because, like, it's right by Walden Pond. Okay,
so let's do a duplicate layer. Actually, no, I don't want to do that. Let's revert. Convert you to RGB colors so I have the full range of editable options. Wing, I've actually visited the cemetery in Boston where Cotton Mather is buried. So have I. Several times. And his family. Alright, so let's do a duplicate layer. So what I do after I develop the film and after it takes overnight to dry, I use my film scanner, and the scanner that I use is called an Epson Perfection V800. It's a flatbed scanner that is designed for art and film scanning. You can scan your artwork and scan film at very high resolution, which I do. I scan each negative at between 2400 and 3200 DPI.
Oh, wow. I cap out at 600 when I'm doing my digital art.
Well, the reason why I scan it that high is because in the event I ever want to make a print, because at that resolution, you can at 2400, you can shrink it down to your print standard at 300 and still make a print out of it. Whereas you start at 600 and then you downscale, you'll wind up with a postage stamp if you're making an actual print. But if all you're doing is sharing an image over the internet, then, That's way more than you need. I mean, 72 DPI is internet standard.
Yeah, no, 600 DPI at my usual pixel settings usually gets me an 8x10 print. I don't want to do anything larger than that because then my computer doesn't like me.
Oh yeah, I get that.
But who knows? Now that I have my tablet, maybe I can play around more with different resolutions of things because it's
30
so much more user friendly.
32 gigs of RAM, baby.
Well, like, I was on my laptop, I was using a Wacom Intuos 3, which is probably over. I got that. I got my first one my senior year of college, and it had been a graduation gift, or not my freshman year of college, and it had been a graduation gift for my roommate. So that was 2009, 2010. So probably a 12 to 15-year-old model at this point. And I was like, I love it, but I need to upgrade to something a little bit more compatible with current software.
Yeah.
And also my computer's old and dying. I can.
So, just for you and for the stream. So this is the image we started off with.
Mm-hmm.
Playing around with brightness and contrast, we go from this image to that.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I tell my scanner to scan each negative, and I explained this to you before we started, but for those watching, my scanner has a tendency, by default, to automatically try to adjust for brightness and contrast. So every time I stick some film in there, I have to actively uncheck the box, like, no, do not auto-adjust because you suck at it. You categorically suck at it. Just scan it all at regular grayscale. I will fix it myself.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why most of my black and white images, my film images, they start off looking very drab and very gray. And then, yes, the scanner's an Epson. Haha. That's why I have to. That's why I have to tell it. Oh. Just crop that.
Okay.
Yep. So you understand, Steph. You understand the Epson desire. Speaking of prints, do you happen to see, I did not see the BioShock print you got for your birthday. Ooh, no. Undo gradient, please. Thank you. Why are you doing that? Thank you. So, do you have any upcoming LARPs in your future?
Oh, yes. So I am going to a steampunk themed game last weekend in April called Oxentia. It is out in Illinois, about 2 hours outside of Boston. It's an entire weekend game that provides meals and room and board, so it's kind of expensive, but I also don't have to pay for lodging or food, which is nice. So I'm looking forward to that. It's a small game. I think they're going to cap it at 25 players. I don't know how many there are right now. More than 10, less than 20, I think. But it's a... Oh, don't mind my kitten if you can hear her. I don't know if you can.
Nope.
But it takes place in a sort of fantasy steampunk setting where there's a kind of a mix between magic and technology, and I like the setting that they've come up with, and the team who is writing it all seem like super cool. They're building the plot as they talk to the players and figure out the characters that they have. So they have like a basic setup and they have a setting planned out, but they're tailoring the conflicts to what players give them in terms of characters and preferences and stuff like that, which is really cool. When I signed up for it, well, not when it was a couple weeks after I bought my ticket, but shortly before Christmas, I had a video chat with some of the lead writers for it, and it was a lot of fun. They seem like really cool people, and it's nice to have establish that relationship before a game, especially one this small. You want to make sure that you're like cool with the people doing it, because you're going to be spending 3 days in the same building together, so gotta make sure everyone's cool.
Yep.
So I've actually learned that I have a type for characters, and so and that type is like sort of like the broken bird type of deal, where they have something really angsty in their past and they're trying to overcome it, and the character plot is working through that. So I've had several LARP characters who've fallen into that, as well as a myriad of tabletop RPG characters, and it's like, you know what, let's run with it. But the character I'm playing for Oxentia is she's a there are 5 factions in the game. You have your like your steampunk tinkerers, there's law enforcement, there's the city's upper class, there's the city's lower class, that type of deal. So I am a member of the faction called the Irregulars, which is the working class, sometimes skullduggery type group of folks. So I'm a waitress at a lounge that is popular in the city, and in the backstory of the game, there was a huge fire that happened about 15 years prior, and so I have her. She lost her family in the fire and oh, network error. What? Sorry, Twitch just crapped out on me.
Oh, so you lost the video? Yeah, just a reload.
Yeah, okay. It is called Oxentia. Here, I'll type it in the chat. But yeah, so there in the game there was a fire 15 years prior to the game events, and she lost her family in that, and has been like worked herself up from being homeless over that time period. So I have trauma. It's gonna be fun.
Oh yay!
Yeah.
So.
Or outside of Wing 41, it's outside of Chicago. If I said Boston, then sorry.
You did say Boston. I think you got his hopes up.
Yeah, oh, sorry. No, I said Illinois, and then we had been talking about Boston, and I said Boston. No, it's out 2 hours outside of Chicago, Illinois. Which is also nice because I can get a direct flight to Chicago.
From Albany, yes, you can.
Yep. So, like, there are other games that are also interesting that are at similar price points, but it's a question of, do I want to fly 8 hours with 2 layovers, or do I want a 2-hour flight and just be done with it?
Yes.
And so that's what I'm going to do. And the question is going to be getting from Chicago to the game site. Hopefully I can hitch a ride with someone, because I want to rent a car.
So what I'm currently doing now on this image, now this is something that you have to do with black and white film because of the way my scanner works. So most film scanners have a bit of technology that's called ICE. It's called digital ICE. Image correction and enhancement. which is great for color film because it automatically fills in any sort of dust and scratches.
Speaking of dust, did I seriously drop a thread on the backdrop?
You may have. I've just cloned it out.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh my god.
Yeah, I mean,
no matter how many threads you trim, you always find more.
You were shedding a little bit. It's okay. But so the digital ice doesn't work on black and white film. So no matter how hard I try to make sure that the film and the scanner glass is spotless, at 2400 DPI, it's gonna find it. So in Photoshop, it's clone stamp to the rescue. If this was a darkroom print, if this was a darkroom print and I had dust and scratches on it, then the way you try to get rid of those on the finished print is through very, very, very fine paintbrushes and dilutions of India ink that has been diluted to that whatever particular shade of gray, and you would stipple that dust out. Oh my god.
I imagine it takes a while.
So when I was in college, I think this was my junior or senior year, my college used to do art field trips to New York City. And we would go down there and we'd spend the day, and the point of them was to go to museums, go to galleries, but the professors that went really couldn't do anything if you spent the whole day shopping. But there was a gallery that was within walking distance that was, I see the redemptions popping up. I will get to them. There was an art gallery near where we were dropped off that was showing some original Ansel Adams work. I don't know if you know who Ansel Adams is.
The name, I know the name, could I tell you from where? No.
Ansel Adams is one of the greatest landscape photographers ever. You have probably seen his work. He was very known for his shots of national parks in the 20s and 30s, black and whites. There's a famous one of Yosemite that he did. But anyway, he was one of my major inspirations and probably one of the biggest reasons why I got into photography in the first place. And I'd never had the opportunity to see any of his work in a gallery. And this was a gallery that was showing a bunch of his work. So I jumped at the chance, went to this gallery, and if you go right up to the image, and you look through the glass of this frame, you can see where either Ansel Adams or maybe an assistant or whatever did this exact same thing with the very fine paintbrush and India ink to blot out the tiny bits of dust. Really, really cool stuff. And hi, Icarus! Good evening. The love is appreciated. McKenna is here as well.
Hi.
Wing 41 redeemed a photography fact. So let me pull up my list of facts here. And I will ask you to pick a number. So hold that thought. Pick a number between 1 and 14.
To me?
No, Wing 41. Pick a number between 1 and 14. He redeemed a photography fact. So,
okay.
And Icarus,
sorry, I
cheers
just
to you.
spaced there for a second.
All right, fact number 11. All right. Wheel of morality, turn, turn, turn. Tell us the lesson that we should learn. Okay, this is going to require a bit of a visual aid. So, here we are. All right, so the fact that you chose Winged is as follows. One of the most famous images of the 20th century, the quote, Afghan girl was the name of the image, was taken in 1984 and published on National Geographic in 1985. However, the girl in the image did not know it became world famous until she was shown her own photo in 2002. And this is the image, which I'm sure everyone has seen. It's one of the more famous photographs in recent human history.
Yeah, and wasn't she, like, wicked pissed?
She was not particularly thrilled.
Yeah, because she didn't want her photo taken to begin with, and, like... if I remember correctly, like, she was on her way home from school, turned around, saw a weird dude pointing a camera at her, and was like, what the fuck, dude? And then didn't think anything of it again until she saw the photo,
almost 20 years, almost 20 years later, yeah.
Yeah, no, that is, like... I mean, I get that photographers own the rights to their work, and the people subject to that, the subject of that photo really doesn't have any say in the copyright of it unless they explicitly work that out with the photographer. That said, unless you're a public figure, no one should be taking and selling photos of you without your consent. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm with her on this one. I'm just like, yeah.
I mean, that's...
Like, it's one thing if you're, like, in the background of a photo, like, somewhere, and, like, it's obviously, you're not the person that is being photographed, like, intentionally, but, like, come on.
Yeah, and this is why I use model releases.
Yes.
Like, I wouldn't be showing these images if McKenna did not give me written permission to do this. Because, yeah, like, I kind of am in the same boat. Like, if I'm taking a picture of somebody, and I want to use it, you know, whether for promotion or whatever, yet model releases exist. So there we are. That's this one film image taken care of. I love the pose. That hat looks really good on you.
It's a nice hat.
It's a very nice. It's a very, very nice hat. We've only been on for an hour, so in case you're just joining us, I am Brian French. I am a photographer. I'm doing a photography art stream tonight, and with me, we have the model of these images from our recent shoot. We have McKenna here.
Hi.
In case you missed the first hour, McKenna was talking earlier about, you know, about this outfit that she created and inspirations and her process, and so don't worry, this stream will be up on, it'll stay on Twitch for 2 weeks, but it will also be up on my YouTube channel in a couple of days, so if you missed it, you can always go back to that. So now I'm gonna start working on our favorite images here of you in the chair. I think that is next. And then I think I'm gonna take this one and see if I can follow the step-by-step to make it look like a tintype.
Yes. Okay, so there was actually a woman who was taking appointments for actual tintype photography in Schenectady, like October of 2020. It was like $50 for one photo, and I was like, I can't quite justify that, but it would be so cool. Like, I could justify it, but I just didn't have the means to do so at the time.
Well, if you knew what goes into making a tintype...
Oh, no, I know. I've seen videos. Like, the $50 is most definitely a fair price for the labor and the materials and whatnot that goes into it. It's just like, that moment in time, I did not have the spare $50 to throw at it. And I was
that's fair.
Because they're so cool.
like, I took an alternative process class in college, and I got to learn how to do pinhole camera photography, make cyanotypes and Van Dyke brown prints, but things like daguerreotype and tintype, I would have loved to have learned those, but I don't think the college wanted to pay for the insurance because of how toxic those early processes are.
Yeah.
Oh, what's your developer solution? Mercury. No, liquid mercury and hot heated mercury vapor. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Just a bit. Cyanotypes are a ton of fun, though. I miss making those.
Toxic Soup, that's the developer.
Yep.
Toxic Soup is a good way to explain a lot of technology that came around at the turn of the century.
Especially since photography was so new. I mean, when it started to become popularized in the mid to late 19th century, it was just like, well, how do we do this? Well, poison. Toxic Soup. Like, I want to learn how to develop color film at home, because you can do it. You can develop your own color film at home. The problem is that, so in black and white film, the third step in the process is the fixer, which gets rid of the remaining undeveloped silver and allows the film, it makes it safe for daylight. That's not really a toxic chemical in black and white film. In color film, it's bleach. The fixer is bleach. And hot bleach at that. Like, well, lukewarm, like 100-degree bleach.
Hope you have a filter mask.
Basically, that's something like, okay, before I learn how to develop color film, I want to be in a house where I could get proper ventilation. Because normally if I develop film and I'm not live streaming it, I use my bathroom here. I use the second bathroom to develop my film. I don't really want to use warm bleach in the bathroom and just breathe. Tasty. How are you developing your photo? Toxic Soup. What's in your cough meds? Toxic Soup. What's for dinner? Toxic Soup. It's like those patent medicines from the late 19th century that, arsenic, heroin, this'll cure your headache.
Well, so, fun fact, so, because I watch a video on this, because I've done a lot of video watching for this topic recently, but it was a video on the history of arsenic as a dye, and how, arsenic green is that sort of typical color stereotype that, that everyone was about this green, and that's why they all got arsenic poisoning. And it was in every dye, basically. It wasn't just green, it was in your red dyes, it was in your blue dyes. Green was the most infamous, but it was in your wallpaper paste. It was in so many things, and people knew that it was bad for you. They actually knew that it was bad, but they didn't. They were too cheap to find a better alternative. And it wasn't until, there was I think a huge public outcry over it eventually that it got banned. And even then, the outcry came when new technology was available to replace it anyway. So, it was... yeah.
So, Icarus, you want to dye your hair arsenic green?
I almost the shoes that I bought, they have that style with green instead of white and black instead of brown. I was really tempted, but it wouldn't go with anything. Oh, well, that's really funny, Danny, that it's still not banned in the UK. Because Queen Victoria, like, made a big deal of replacing all of the arsenic wallpaper in Buckingham Palace. You thought once the Queen did it, they would have been on that shit, but apparently not.
So Wing, milk used to be toxic about the 1940s? What? I mean, what do you mean?
Oh, I think I know that there was a thing for this.
Wait, I got a thing for this.
I don't know if it was up until the 1940s, but I do know that, again, because the Victorians were terrible, that it was really popular to mix something. The chemical itself, I don't know if it was like baking soda or cream of tartar or something, but the chemical itself wasn't toxic, but they would put it in milk to make it smell not sour. So, but of course, the smell of sour milk means there's bacteria in the milk, and the milk has gone bad. So they thought that they were making the milk pure again, but in reality, they were just masking the smell. So it was actually really common for kids, especially because milk was a child's drink, for kids to get bovine tuberculosis. From the bad milk, so...
Okay.
Yep. Bovine tuberculosis was not the disease I would have thought you'd get from bad milk, but...
Let's all embalm our children. Beautiful. All right, so we have the edited image here. So let's see about if I can follow this step by step to make this look something like a tintype. So what we're about to do, boys and girls, is something new to me, because I'm used to Photoshop does come with some hue saturation filters, and I'll show you what they look like. Like we've got a sepia, which actually that doesn't look bad at all. So there's a sepia, there's a cyanotype. They have what's called an old style, which just basically looks like a...
It's very
sort of... It's just a significantly more desaturated regular image. We've got something called a red boost, which, all right, it does exactly that.
Exactly what it says on the tin.
Then we have what's called a strong saturation, with just more red. And then we have what's called a yellow boost, which... Okay, so we'll just go back to the regular image here. So we're gonna see if we can do a step-by-step to try to make this look like a tin-type image. So, all right. Load it up in Photoshop. Use a gradient map adjustment layer. Okay. Let's do the thing. Gradient map. Woo! I set the black and white point. All right. Oops.
And suddenly everything is scary.
And suddenly a Dalek just shot you. Okay, so let's go...
Though, when you flip it to the negative like that, it doesn't look like there's a chair, and so I'm kind of just, like, floating there.
Woo!
Spooky.
Alright, let's go for the color pickers. So let's go, let's go... 31... What are the values they use here? Values 28... and... Okay, we'll start with that for that. And then for the white point, We'll do the RGB values of 164, 158, and 145. Okay. Oh! Oh!
Yeah. That one they actually didn't. That was a public outcry when people actually like really found out about all of the really terrible adulterating they were doing to bread.
So here's what we already have after the first couple of steps here. That's already looking promising. All right. So now we've redefined the black and white points of the coloration, we need to work on that mid-tone contrast. Create a curves layer adjustment beneath your gradient map. Okay, we can do that.
See, and here I thought this is going to be like you find like a pre-made texture and then slap it on another layer with some transparency. Shows how little I know.
Okay, create a curves layer. This is important. You don't want the affected curves. Blah, 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 blah. So we're gonna do a custom, and we're gonna do some midtones here. Okay, so let's pull you down this away. Let's go up that away. Then let's do one of that. Over here. And you'll go right about there. That's pretty close, actually. Okay. It's not too bad. So, and then let's see, this next step, I'm going to skip over because I don't want to do any soaking of printer paper and adding, that's no. Step 6. All right, let's create a new layer. Okay, new layer. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do the thing. There we go.
So when it's soaking of printer paper, was that like a step to like get a texture on paper, scan it, and then use that as a...
Correct.
Okay.
And I'm skipping it because we already have the textured backdrop.
That makes sense.
Okay. This new layer is selected. Change the blend mode to soft light. Blend mode to soft light. And then fill with soft light neutral color. Where is my 50% gray? I am changing my... interior effects, knockout, non-gen, blend if gray, okay. With this new layer selected, select the paintbrush tool. Using your paintbrush, you can now lighten and darken your image by hand. Black will darken and white will lighten. Okay. Brush opacity of about 20%. Let's see if this does the thing. Aha. Just change the opacity to 20. Okay, we can go as normal to lighten up some areas. Okay, I see how that works. But I actually don't necessarily want to do that. Not there anyway. So I think actually this might be pretty close.
Yeah.
It's not perfect, but I think that's pretty close. What do you think?
No, I think it looks fantastic. And the only thing that's missing would require, hundreds of years of aging in somebody's attic. So, which you can't really do in 5 minutes on a computer.
No, that's an interesting effect. I am gonna bookmark that page. Well, thank you for coming on this journey with me. That's a learning experience. All right.
And this one I will probably actually order a print from you.
Well, I'm gonna save that as tintype so that we can accidentally do the thing.
Well, also, Danny, just seeing your comment now. So, if you're ever up this way, then you should bring some of your costumes, and then I can say, Brian, take pictures of me and Danny together, and it'll be awesome.
It will be awesome, and I have no shame. I will happily take your money. I mean, seriously though. I mean, one of my big things for any shoot is if you are enjoying yourself in the shoot, it's gonna show up. It's gonna show in the finished product. Like, if you're not having a good time, if you don't feel safe, if you're not comfortable, it's going to show. So, at this point, McKenna and I have had a lot of fun doing our respective shoots, and it shows. It shows in the work. So yes, if anyone out there happened to be up near Saratoga, New York, just let me know.
Yeah, I know, Danny. And so once Shane and I get our bigger house, then you can stay in a guest room or something. I'm actually considering once we do get a place, depending on when we get it, have all you Texas folks come up, because we would have the space for you, hopefully. And if not, we would definitely help with the lodgings bit of it, because yeah, y'all need to come up to New York now. I've been down to Texas enough.
And something else I'm looking forward to, we're in the, my friend Icarus here, we're in the planning stages of having them come up at some point, I think late June, because not only is Icarus an awesome person, but I've been wanting to do a shoot with them for quite a while. So I'm looking forward to that.
So I'm really torn about this image right here, because on the one hand, I really like my face. On the other hand, it's that one angle of the corset that doesn't have a curve. There's a little bit of a curve, but it kind of just looks like a can. And I'm it's not a great angle for the garment itself.
Well, let me see what other. Let me pull up the other. No, don't do that.
Because the one of me in the top hat and the cane, there's a really obvious
Where are you?
hip there, and here it just looks like not.
You're just like, I'm cantilevered into this. Well, hold on. Let me just see. So we've got this one. Where are you? 9. The only other one I took in that similar pose was number 10, which, okay.
And I think it's got the same thing going on.
Yeah, it's, no, not that one.
But
so we have...
It's grown on me. Yeah, the photo itself doesn't look bad, it's just, like...
like,
I'm just like, it's not an angle that I've ever seen it, and I was like, did I do something wrong with the sun? I was like, no, that's just the pattern. That's how that type of corset looks from that particular angle. So,
it is what it is now, and I need to pull up another soundtrack because I realized I'm like, oh crap, I'm shifting into copyrighted music land.
Oh no!
And we all know how much Twitch and YouTube hate that.
I don't have the Twitch audio on because it's slightly out of sync with our Discord.
7 seconds. Yep.
Yeah, so I don't even know what music is playing. I haven't heard music this entire time, but
no, that's smart. No, I had on a Legend of Zelda remix album. So let's shift into another. I just saw you. Yes, we'll do you. You. Okay. I know, Icarus. Heaven forbid, not the music. Okay. For this image, I do really like the facial expression. I like the looking off camera.
Yeah, no, it looks like a shot that would have been like taken for like some sort of like, I don't know. I don't want to say advertisement, but it looks promotional in not a bad way. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's not like you're soliciting escort services. Winged. Since I assume we're finishing up Burial at Sea, I don't know if I don't know how long Burial at Sea is winged. Any plans for the next game I know what game I'm going to be doing, but I'm not going to announce it now. You know the drill. I always announce what the next game I'm playing when I finish the game I'm currently streaming. So I you'll have to wait.
Be patient, friend.
Patience, Augustus. Save some room for later. Text those old lingerie photos. I'm doing a curves adjustment. That's what I'm doing.
So, when you were talking about on black and white film editing out the dust with the stippling and the watered down India ink.
Yep.
So one of the things that gave rise to the myth that corsets were specifically to reduce the waist, no matter what was in the way, is that a lot of photos of models at the time the waists were painted over to make them smaller, but we only ever see them as copies. We don't see the originals, so we can't, unless you know what you're looking for and like have a really good understanding of anatomy, like you're not going to notice that at first glance, that this photo has been edited to make the lady sexier, as photos have always been edited to make ladies sexier since time immemorial.
Exactly. Now, in the olden days, when you had things like glass negatives and paper negatives and even early celluloid, like the way you would do that is you'd either make those alterations on the negative while the emulsion was still wet, or that was something you did like on the print or on your negative after it dried. Oh yeah, for almost as long as photography has existed, have there been ways to edit images, and part of the reason for that, probably the biggest reason for that, was when photography was starting to become another method of creating art. The hoity-toity art critics and painters, predominantly painters, were like, this isn't art. A machine does this. There's no artist's hand involved. You just press, you just open the shutter and it makes there's no artistic value here.
Back in my day, we took our paints up the hill 6 miles in the snow and back.
Back in my day, we would inject ultramarine blue up my ass and call it art. So those early art photographers, to try to gain acceptance in the eyes of the artists at the time, would try to make their photographs look more, quote, air quote, painterly. And the way they would do that is when their image was still wet, when the emulsion was still wet, they would like hand scratch the glass or the paper or the early celluloid, or they'd take paint brushes and they would apply brush strokes over the emulsion to give it that sort of painterly look. So that was some of the ways that they tried to gain acceptance. That particular movement in photographic history was called the pictorialist movement, and you get some very, very interesting works. This was an attempt for early photographers to try to be seen in back in the day. And then, in the 20s and 30s, you had people like Edward Weston and Ansel Adams and Alfred Stieglitz, who had been practicing pictorialism in their own right, was like, you know what? Fuck it. A regular image without alteration is gorgeous. Fuck the painters and the establishment.
Burn it to the ground. Except no, then we can't take photos of it.
So that brought to the fore the rise in what was called, quote, straight photography. No alterations, no artist hand, anything like that. Because it was, as it was true then as it is today, the art in a photograph lies in your composition and in your framing. And now we've sort of come full circle in the age of digital photography with things like Instagram filters and things like that. Mm-hmm. So whole new ways to alter images. Mm-hmm. Fuck the art police. Yeah, fuck the paintbrushes. Wait, hold on. Yeah, no. I don't kink shame. So I mean, if you want to go to town on a big fat paintbrush handle,
just make sure it's clean first.
Just make sure it's sterile. I don't judge. We do. This is a safe space. We do not kink shame here. And thank you, Steph. I do enjoy this photo quite a bit. This was one of the film ones. This was on the roll I developed last week. What's going to be fun is trying to edit out that big old piece of dust that's on your face. But
I can't even see it. Where?
Let's go right in. Yeah.
Because there's like a 90% chance it's not dust and is instead evidence of the massive breakout I was suffering.
No, you'll see it.
Oh, that's dust.
Yeah, that's dust. Otherwise, that'd be the weirdest acne ever known to.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that those didn't show up. Like, I was looking in the mirror on the way there, like, this foundation better hold up.
I mean, also, I typically don't edit for things like that anyway.
Yeah, but
unless specifically requested. I know you care.
I care. My skin was like perfect until I hit age 26, and then it was all downhill from there.
Yeah, bodies are dumb.
Mm-hmm. It's like, you were supposed to do this when I was 13.
Yeah, like, what's this fucking delayed puberty shit? Like, it's...
Yeah, like, I don't want my face to hurt 24/7.
Getting pretty close here. Oh, it's only just after 9. I've got about another half hour or so before I call it a night. I am definitely enjoying myself. Thank you so much for McKenna for keeping me company, as well as all of you out there in the chat.
Yes.
So, something else I'm going to be doing, McKenna, next month. I'm participating in what's called the Artist Back Alley. I think I've told you about it before. It's a Discord group. We're doing another raid train, so I think as one of the only photographers in Artist Back Alley, I feel that I have to represent the medium. So I'll be doing that. I think that is President's Weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have it's a different streamer every hour. Like that Saturday and Sunday. It's like 12 to 15 artists. And they each get an hour. And so, I don't know what I'm doing yet. I know I'll be going that Sunday evening around 8 p.m. Eastern. So, love you too, Icarus. And the Chaos Bees. We're getting so much... I love the fact that we're getting so much mileage out of that Chaos Bee, Icarus. You did a fantastic job with that emote. Alright, we're getting closer and closer here. Okay. Entropy, your favorite state of being. I know that you couldn't really handle watching me play through BioShock Infinite because it is a very, very uncomfortable game. But I was using the Murder of Crows vigor a lot in your honor.
I'm trying to think if I'm doing anything exciting coming up soon. Right now it's just the Oxentia costume, which I do have a color scheme for. I'm going to be doing... So there's the corset I'm making, which is going to be like a peachy pink with turquoise embroidery on it. And then it's going to be over like a dark teal, roughly dress. I think it's gonna look real cool.
Yeah, I was about to ask if you were using any previous costumes for this, but
nope. The pattern, like I'm using is the one I sent the image of earlier with the uneven bones, but it's interesting. It's not entirely boned. It's got several panels that are fully boned, and then several that are corded, which is a strengthening technique where you stitch your 2 layers of fabric together at like an anchor stitch, then you put a piece of cord up tight against that stitch, and then you lay your top layer of fabric over it so that the top layer sort of gets the volume and the bottom layer stays flat, and you just do consecutive rows of that cord. So I'm looking forward to trying that, but it's also got like gores, which are triangular inserts between seams to add volume. It does that for the bust and for the hips, and it's very hard to adjust for different proportions in chest size for something like that if you don't already match the proportions of the pattern. So like I have a very large bust relative to my rib cage, so the back of the pattern would probably be like, if I was using just the back of a pattern, I could probably do like a smaller size, but because my bust is so big, I have to distribute the circumference of that upper chest measurement in strange ways. Because the pattern is thinking that it's, 50% of that circumference is back and 50% is boob, when in fact it's closer to like 25% is back, or like 30% is back and like 60% is boob, and it's been a challenge. Like, these pattern pieces have changed shape. Like, it's not the original shape of the corset. I think it's gonna work though.
Here we are. We got that big old scratch off your dust piece.
Oh, it's like it never existed.
There you go. That was a bit tough, but we got it in the end.
Yeah, no. The corset that I'm wearing here was actually really easy to adjust, if finicky, because all the pieces are horizontal as opposed to vertical. It's a lot more forgiving in where you add your extra circumference, because you can, adjust the gradient or the transition from each of those measurements much more easily. And instead of worrying about how this triangle fits into that rectangle, which goes into this horizontal rectangle, I was surprised at how easy it was for me to resize.
Done here. Getting rid of the dust and scratches and various threads that you were shedding. I will say that I much prefer post-production for black and white film images than darkroom any day of the week. Because when I had my fine art education in college, drawing was my weakest suit, and the assignment that I had hated with the fire of 1,000 suns was the stipple assignment that we had to do. Like, oh my god. That is an exercise in patience I don't have.
I can understand that. I imagine it's similar to how finicky you have to get in rendering when you're trying to do graphite sketches or pencil sketches. Which is like, you're going for like one hair short of photorealism, and it's a bitch.
Yeah, I can see that. My intro to drawing class in college, I was like, well, if I'm gonna be stuck with this dumbass rendering assignment, I'm at least gonna render something that, like, I would like to look at. And so I got one of my little anime figures that I had on my shelf, and I did his head. It was just like a little chibi figure. It wasn't anything super complicated, but
I was like, you know what? I like this particular object, so I'm going to render a portion of this particular object. Which was, well, it wasn't like super like detailed or complicated, was more so than, you know, a leaf or like a piece of grass or something. And so then my professor looked at us like, well, I would prefer you to use a natural form. And I was like that dumbass ginkgo leaf that so-and-so did over there? Yeah, that's boring. I didn't say that to him, but I was like, I'm not going to spend hours and hours rendering a goddamn ginkgo leaf. Like, no, thank you.
You go to hell. Nice. You know what? I have about 15 minutes or so. Let's see if we can close out. Let's see. See if an image I haven't pulled up yet. One more image to finish tonight on. Oh, I didn't actually show one other, the last part of the outfit that you did. So I'll just show that. Well, you can offer some explanation on that while I pull up one more image to edit.
Oh yeah, sure. All right, so this is a corset cover, and the corset cover was meant to go over the corset so that the harsh lines of the boning channels and the edge of the corset and the busk would not show through on the sheer fabric of your blouse. This was made out of a pillowcase and a half. I did not use a pattern, or a pre-made pattern, rather. I sketched it out myself, because this is just a really small garment. I have enough paper to do that. So, yeah, it's basically just a gathered cotton. It's got a little hook and eye around the waist, and it buttons up. And, yeah, no, it's not super complicated. The most exciting thing about it is that I made it out of a pillowcase, and it's really nice. Like, it's really nice cotton. I went to Walmart because I needed cotton for it, and they all they had in the craft section was poly cotton. They didn't have any plain white cotton. And so I was like, you know what else is made out of cotton? Bedding. And it's probably better cotton than I can get in the craft section anyway. So I was like, pillowcases are enough. It actually has this really nice, like, subtle stripe on it. I think it's similar to a sateen cotton, but it's got some texture to it, and it's fancy feeling anyway.
It looks soft. It looks very comfy. All right, last image I'm going to work on tonight, and I think I'm going to try making a tintype out of this one as well, or tintype, in quotes, is this one, because once more with the hat.
Yay! Yay, hat!
This one I like the theatricality of it. It's
I look like someone's going to yank me off stage with one of those hooked canes, like they would do in like a Looney Tunes
in a vaudeville act. Everybody do the Michigan rag. That lovely rag. You know. Okay, so let's. Alrighty. This stream is becoming far too silly. Background curves adjustment. Always a curves adjustment first. Just good. Good. Hue saturation next. But yeah, so Tex94. When I'm not doing an not doing an art stream, I also play video games. Usually Mondays and Fridays I'll play a video game. Right now I'm doing BioShock Infinite. I finished the main game last week and I had just started the Burial at Sea DLC. So I played BioShock Infinite before, but I never played Burial at Sea. So that is new to me. And so I got about half an hour in last week, and I was just marveling at how pretty Rapture looks, because it's set before the first game, before it all goes to hell. And it's so pretty.
I watched Shane play the first BioShock. That is... I helped a friend do a cosplay. Is it Elizabeth? Is that the female lead?
In BioShock Infinite, and also Burial at Sea.
Yeah, so I helped a friend do a cosplay for her. We picked some stuff up at a Salvation Army, and then frantically hand-stitched and painted the items in her apartment over the course of the weekend, but... not a franchise I'm super familiar with.
BioShock was the game that changed my opinion on first-person shooters, because up to that point, I never really played first-person shooters because I am such a sucker for narrative and for story, and I didn't really have a whole lot of experience growing up playing first-person shooters that actually provided a compelling story. It was basically just kill all the things, beat the level, move on, repeat until end.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so much story in BioShock and throughout the series that it finally changed my mind as, oh, you can actually tell a very good and compelling and emotional story through the design choice that is a first-person shooter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not a game style I am super fond of. I don't dislike it, but I prefer third person just because you have a wider view of things, and I can get where first person works really well in more suspenseful settings because your viewpoint is limited. But from a gameplay perspective, it's like, but I want to see everything, because what if I miss something because I can't see it?
I get that, and yes, Infinite is very rough for some of its themes. BioShock Infinite deals very much with American exceptionalism, fundamentalism, institutional racism. It's very topical, and it was so on the nose that when it came out in 2013, it pissed off Republicans.
Yeah, well, they'll get pissed off about anything.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Like...
women can vote? Anger! Outrage!
I remember when the first Mass Effect game came out.
Ooh.
And there was an honest-to-God outcry because there was an optional sex scene in Mass Effect. And they had some Fox News talk program had a dude from GameStop on as like their talking head to try to defend the game, and they were very much coming from a like, games are for children, why would you put sex in a children's game? And he's like, well, it's not a children's game. Well,
it's not a kid's game.
What if little Jimmy sees Daddy's video games and decides he wants to play Daddy's video games? And it's like, well, then Daddy should be doing a better job of policing his children.
Basically.
But like it was like, and the GameStop guy was like, did either of you actually like play this game or see footage from it? Well, no. Why would we? Like, honest to God thing that was said on air, and I was just like, I wasn't even, like, into video games, like, or PC games that hard at that point, but I was just like, come on. Like... Really?
Do your bare minimum of research here.
Yeah, like, and I know that I shouldn't be surprised, not because it's Fox News, but because it's news media to begin with, because idiocy does not necessarily know a political affiliation, but I'm just like, you're just gonna come on air and complain about things you haven't read, watched, or played. Like, there are better things you could be reporting on, right? Like, actual news things? Like, there's gotta be something happening somewhere. Yeah, it's rated M for a reason. But yeah, no, they compared it to, like, kids, like, finding their parents' porn, and it's like, well, they're gonna have a lot harder time finding that particular sex scene than they are pulling out a Playboy from under the mattress.
Yeah. Do you know how many things you have to do in that game in order to trigger the sex scene anyway? Like...
Apparently a lot easier to just make them, like, fall in love with you, because, like... Of course, me being, when I first played it, me being like, oh, I want to get to know everything about all of the characters, so I follow every dialogue tree, because none of it is explicitly romantic to start.
Right.
And then, like, I get this conversation with, I think it was Caden, and he's like, talking about, like, how, you know, he likes me, but if I really do have feelings for Liara, and I was like... When did I trigger that path for either of you? Like, no.
I don't want to.
I think you have the wrong idea. No, yeah.
Yeah, just, oh man. And I was talking about this with a friend not too long ago. And, you know, it's such a, like, video games is as a whole, even 40, 50 years in, we still, collectively as a country, still view video games as largely kids' things. Whereas over in, say, Japan, they're a massive and respected everyday part of their culture, part of their identity. And it's just, ugh. Ew, kind.
Yeah, no, we all know that Garrus is the one true love interest for
Space
that,
Batman.
So. Yes, give me Space Boyfriend any day. I still haven't played the third Mass Effect. I think I own it. I haven't played it.
Alright, last thing we're going to do is we're going to tin type this, and then we will do our recap, and then we will call it a night. Mm-hmm. So, let me go back to my step-by-step here. Very good. Alright. Yes, we have to go back to the gradient map. Okay. And we're going to change you to 31, 28, 3. Yeah. White end. Go. 164. 8. 45. Okay. Then we will do the print and scan the printer paper. I have to do a curves adjustment. Okay. Let's do you. Let's do. We're fine where you are. Go up this way. And one final curves layer.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, McKenna.
I know that I have seen this as an option in various places where you can upload photos to order prints of. I think it might have been Shutterfly. But I know it is possible to actually order prints on metal.
Yes.
I think that would be really cool. Like for one of these that you've done the tin type editing to. So if that is a possibility, please do let me know, because I would treat myself to that.
All right. All right. I will look. I've never seen what the print looks like on metal, so I would be probably just as curious. I will have to see if the printing lab that I use does metal. If not, I will hunt down. I know Redbubble will do it. So I'll do some poking around and get back to you on that.
Cool.
So yeah, there's the the tin type for that. It looks a little bit more sepia because I think there's more brown in the image. As opposed to, say, this one, which I think looks more of a truer. Oh, wait a minute. Did I do a thing? Oh, I know what I did wrong. Okay. It's supposed to go down there. Never mind. I switched my layer order. Good evening, Creative Jenny. Welcome. Welcome.
There we go.
I'm like, that looks more sepia. What did I do wrong? Oh, I needed to switch. Layer order matters, boys and girls.
It does. And this is why Photoshop is forever a mystery to me.
I'm like,
so many things.
I'm like, that's looking a bit, I mean, I like it, but it looks more sepia than the oh, wrong layer, Kronk. So, yeah, well, let me just save this as a type layer.
Oh, that is good to know, Icarus. Thank you.
Layer order matters. Yes, layer order matters. How was your stream, Jenny? I know you were doing art streaming earlier. How did that go? I know you were working on your comic. Creative Jenny is also an artist that I follow. She's a comic artist. So let's give her a shout out. I'll put that in the chat. I know Jenny will also be part of Artist Back Alley. In fact, on that Sunday that we do it, I immediately follow Creative Jenny. So definitely be sure to check that out. So what we're doing, Jenny, we're getting near the end of tonight's stream, but I'm editing some images that I did with my good friend McKenna, who is on the audio tonight. She made this outfit, and so she's been on chatting with all of us about it. So,
hello.
So let me go back up to the chat because I saw that Icarus put a big something up about metal prints. A lot of those metal prints come with a weird thing mounted to the back to hang it direct to the wall, and they're a bitch to get off if you want to lay it in a frame. If you want to frame it, you could also do a deeper frame to not make it stick out the back of a frame. Funny.
I mean, I honestly wouldn't care about that because I would probably just hang it on the wall straight, but that's because I'm lazy.
Managed to do most of the shadows. Awesome. Yeah, I've never done a metal print, but I am very curious to check it out, especially especially one of these mock tin type ones. That I think those would lend themselves pretty well. Alrighty, ladies and jelly spoons, I'm going to do our recap. Show you what I did tonight. Yep, we're right around that time. So let's go over to my good friend Adobe Bridge. Okay, let's do our Photoshop docs. Alright, so we'll go in no particular order here. So we'll start with the digital images first, and then the couple of black and whites. So, our first one from tonight. Recap time! Yay! McKenna in the base layer there.
Yeah, a pair of combinations, short for combination of chemise and drawers, pattern from Blue Fine Goods on Etsy.
And then we got one of you lacing up.
Yep. Horizontal corset pattern also from Etsy. Pattern from 1905, I believe.
And then a black and white and a color of the same image of one of the cute poses. Your mild mannered tee-hee with the shoes there.
Shoes courtesy of American Duchess.
And then we have our favorite here. We have you in the chair there with just that little hint of thigh and green ribbon there, and then the tin type mock-up.
Yep.
Good evening, Battle Chaser. Welcome to the end of the stream, but glad you could stop by for these final couple of minutes. I'm doing a recap of what we've done. I've edited some images from the most recent photo shoot I did, and the model is here in the audio chat. This is McKenna.
Hello.
You got cut off there. Try that again.
Oh, hello.
All I heard was, "Heh!" Like, oh no, she puked on her mic.
No.
No. So, this is an outfit that McKenna has made, and McKenna she makes outfits and she takes commissions. Are you accepting commissions at the moment? Or are you
right now I am not. So I am devoting the entirety of February to working on my Oxentia outfit. And then in March I have a pretty big commission coming up for one of my professional LARPer friends. That is going to take up most of my time, and then I'm moving in the summer. So it's going to be a fun time.
Oh, has the house already been decided?
No, but we are going to put this house on the market in April. And after that, because chances are we will not be able to purchase a house at the same time we sell. We are going to sell. We are going to stay with Shane's parents for a bit and find our own place in the later spring, early summer, hopefully, is the plan.
Awesome.
Yeah, because we need to have a down payment, and the sale of this house is going to be our down payment.
Fair enough.
So I will probably be available for commissions late summer, early fall-ish, depending on how things go. With that, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram. I will actually just change my URL today, so I will pull those up and put them.
Yeah, put all of your ways that people can find you and your work right in the chat there.
Yeah.
I was trying to tag you in Instagram earlier. I'm like, wait a minute. Did she change her handle?
Yes, I did. So I don't want to call it an epiphany, but it's something that I have been back and forth on doing for a while. And so my original handle was JJ's Dress Up Trunk. I have used the handle Anna JJ as my username for close to probably 15 years at this point. And it's Mandarin for older sister. I studied abroad in Taiwan for a bit, and that Anna JJ was what all of my host siblings called me, so it has a lot of sentimental value. But I realized that if I'm going to be, like, actually having a larger online presence and potential, like, actual business opportunities, it's not exactly a good look for a white girl to have an Asian business name. So I just shortened it to JJ, because it keeps the sentimentality for me, but it also doesn't, like, come off as potentially appropriative if you don't know the context.
Totally understandable. So yes, plug all that into the chat. I just did a shout out to Battle Chaser, who is another gamer and artist that I follow as well. Also does amazing stuff. So Battle Chaser gets the shout out. Whoa. Who did... oh, you got flagged by the Autobot. Hold on. The Autobot thought you were doing something naughty.
I was just posting a link.
It said you tried to post 4 messages at once?
No, I just Control V to link.
All right, hold on. I'm gonna see if I can. Did it? Nailed by Optimus Prime. Hold on, I need to fix that. Why did it not like you? Fine. Shoot me, alas, your power is denied. Yeah, I'm like, wait a minute, what the hell happened?
Yeah, let me just pop these into...
Pop it into my Discord, I'll post them. Because apparently it don't like you, and it timed you out for 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
The hell, Stream Elements? Jerk.
Yeah, I do also have a website, but that URL is currently getting updated, and so the it's going to be jjdressuptrunk.com, but the handle or the domain has to finish being registered first.
All right. So now, now is going to be the fun part. Will the bot nail me? All right. So you just shot me the link to your Facebook.
I believe I sent both.
You sent Facebook and Instagram.
Yep.
So there's. Okay. So it likes me. It's like, okay, you're the streamer. We'll forgive you, and let's copy this one. So that's McKenna's professional Facebook, and now McKenna's professional Instagram for all of her costuming stuff. There we go. It's in the chat now. Bad bot, no biscuit. So we've got that's our favorite image. We've got that one and the tin type, the mock tin type, and then we've got the black and white film images that I edited. We did 2 of them tonight. And those are it. And the black and white images, those were shot on film that I developed last week. That was shot on Ilford Delta 100 speed, medium format black and white film using this monster of a camera, this giant chongus of a camera, 5.5 pounds with the lens attached. Oh yeah, this thing is massive. So, but it gives me some great results. So while I posted McKenna's links in the chat, I will also share mine one more time before I close it all out. If you like what I do, if you're interested in my art, that link that goes to my card page, which is a link aggregate, so that gives you my link to my website, my Patreon, Redbubble, Instagram, Vero, because in addition to all of this type of photography, all the studio photography, I also do a lot of not safe for work. A lot of nude art as well, nude photography, which I can't share on Twitch. So whenever I stream that, I will usually do that over on Picardo, and that's like a once a month-ish kind of thing. And you can also see some of that work on my Vero, my website, and my Patreon. And if you subscribe to my Patreon at $5 a month or higher, you get a print, a 4x6 print every couple of months from yours truly. A physical print that you could frame, put in an album somewhere, whatever you want with it. It is yours if you decide to do that. But I think that is going to do it for me. Thank you so much, McKenna, for spending some of your evening with me. This was fun.
It was. No, we should do this again next time we have photos to edit.
Yes, indeed. Let me know, McKenna, which ones, go through them when you have time. If there's any ones you specifically really want me to tweak, just let me know.
Yep.
And for all of you out there in the chat, my next stream will be this Friday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I will be doing more of BioShock Infinite Burial at Sea. So if that's something you want to see and you haven't followed me yet, give me a follow so that you get notified when I go live. But again, that'll be at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So until I see you guys again, stay healthy, stay safe, wear your fucking masks, go get vaccinated, all of that fun stuff. And hopefully I will see you Friday night. But on that note, good night, and joy be with you all, everyone. Be well.
Bye.